Hello and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. I'm your host and founder, Jen Noseworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. Watch and listen to PNL Podcast every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on UPRNTalkRadio.com for tonight's Bigfoot, Biological, and Woo with a Relic film special. On UPRN segment number 68, I've got a special guest waiting backstage from Alabama, USA, who I'll bring on shortly. Now it's time to grab your favorite woodsy drink, a few Bigfoot munchies, and get ready for that show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the BOG Team. It's a boots-on-the-ground BOG team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland, Canada. Smash those subscribe buttons and grab your PNL Podcast and BOG Team merch at TeePublic on their Linktree Paranormal NL Podcast. All BOG Team music heard in the intro and exit is available for download and use on all social media and streaming music platforms. Watch PNL every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on UPRN through the YouTube live chat watch party with myself, your host, Jen Noseworthy, and a few BOG Team members. PNL Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. Now, let's shout out to who introduced me to tonight's guests. From Third Eye Live, Sir Bryan Bowden and Mark Eddy. Now, both Bryan and Mark are PNL Podcast Alumni-Network members. They've been on PNL multiple times. Bryan was on Season 2, Episode 6 and 63, Season 3, Episode 4. And Mark was on, Season 3, Episode 53 also, and he's coming up on Season 4, Episode 10 soon. So check out them. You're going to love their work with Third Eye Live and all their other work. Now, without further ado, let's bring on our guest tonight, Mr. Greg Ogles from Alabama, USA. Welcome, Greg.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, it's nice to have you here. And I'm so sorry about the doorbell ringing. It must be the ghosts out there trying to get in because we've had lots of snow down this way. How about your weather up there in Alabama?
Well, it's actually quite frigid, you know.
Well, you know what they say, if it's cold, let them in.
Yeah, if it was wet enough, it would start snowing. And,
Yeah.
you know, speaking of ghosts, I've got a Casper that kind of lives in my house too, and but it's a polite Casper. You know, it'll be walking around at night or whatever, and we're trying to go to sleep, and we're like, "Hey, cut it out! We're trying to go to sleep," and it'll stop.
I know.
So at least it's polite.
We've got a few around our house too. So, Greg, for the folks listening in on UPRN, United Public Radio Network, do you want to explain to them or talk a little bit about who you are to the folks listening around the world?
Yeah, my name is Greg Ogles, and I'm the owner and founder of Relic Films. And what we do is delve into. We started out doing old legends in the state of Alabama. And the original intent was to keep those old legends alive, investigate and see if they had any veracity to them. We investigated first. The first legend that we actually investigated was called The Legend of the Downy Booger. And
I love the name of that. I used to have a cat named Booger.
Right. Yeah. Well, here in the South, you know, any of the so-called monsters, they had a tendency to call them boogers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's kind of where the boogeyman and all that got their name started from. So
yeah, that was his nickname too, the boogeyman.
Or wood booger and all kinds of things like that, you know. So
when you grew up, Greg, did you have a lot of different folklore in Alabama with the woody booger?
Not really. Not really growing up, it didn't. Now, I did watch the shows like In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. I loved that show.
They were good.
And other shows that's out there that was mystery related. I actually did love those. I did have a UFO encounter when I was a very young child, and it was quite traumatic, and didn't talk about it for a very, very, very long time.
Because a lot of people have been kind of, I guess the right word, ostracized or kind of stigmatized and afraid to talk about it. But now everybody talks about UFOs, so it's okay to talk about it now.
It is. It is. Essentially, when the Tic Tac UFO came out, and it was actually the government said, yes, these things are real. Don't know what they are, but they're real. That's when I really felt okay to start talking about it. And it wasn't just me that had that encounter. It was myself, 2 older brothers, and 2 older cousins. And not too long ago, I was actually talking to all of them about that encounter. And I remember we were on this old country road walking down to my grandma's. And it was dusky dark, and all of a sudden, just kind of out of nowhere, this big giant light just boom shined on us, just boom. And it was really bright. You couldn't see past the edge of the light. If you tried to look out, you couldn't see the woods or anything else. I remember looking up. Of course, you couldn't. I was a little kid. I looked up and tried to see the source of it. Right, you couldn't see anything but the light. And then I looked down at my hands and remember being able to feel the light.
Really? Okay, so it had some warmth to it.
It was like tangible. Okay. Now I would liken it to heavy, extremely heavy static electricity.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people talk about that when they're close to the UFO. They could almost feel the static, right, in the air.
Yeah, you could feel it. You really could. You could feel it, almost like you could, grab the light,
Do the other people remember that too, Greg?
They do remember it. But my next memory of that situation is being on my grandmother's covered porch, and standing there thinking, "Wow, how is the light coming through the porch?" Because it was a covered porch. Right. Of course, in reality, it was probably bouncing up off the surroundings. But anyway, I never saw the craft. My oldest brother did, and it was one of these big giant triangles.
Okay.
And it just kind of boom and gone. But what's interesting about that is I don't know how I got from the middle of the road over to my grandmother's house. And I was asking my older brothers and cousins about that not too long ago, and they have the exact same memory gap. Nobody remembers how we got from the road to the...
Yeah, a lot of people experience time gaps with UFO. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to look at your watch or notice how much time went by?
Well, I mentioned earlier that it was dusky dark when we were... When we were walking down, and when when it first began, right?
Right. Yeah.
And when it was when it was over, it was complete pitch black.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't know how much time went by, but I do know a good bit of time went by.
That must have been really weird, right?
Well, it was. It was very traumatic. I remember being extremely scared. Yeah. And pretty much all of us never talked about it, but it's always been in the back of my mind, right? And I really think that really spurred me on to my interest into all things paranormal.
Okay, that was going to be my question, yeah. So your childhood experience kind of got you into the paranormal.
Mm-hmm. It did. And
Greg, a lot of people, when they hear the word paranormal, I know that some people think, oh, UFO, and they don't include Bigfoot, or they only think it's ghosts. Paranormal to me is everything, right? Including the supernatural.
It absolutely is. Yeah. Paranormal to me is anything that's just not readily normal.
Right. Right.
What I consider paranormal are orbs, Bigfoot, any kind of cryptid, and any kind of UFO, and any kind of ghost.
Anything kind of high strangeness that's unexplained type of thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. To me, all of that is defined as paranormal. So
100%. So tell me more. How did so you had this experience when you were a kid, and then how did you get into film?
Well, in 2012, 2013, that time frame, I was like, okay, I'm tired of hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something a little bit different, right? And one thing about, a past is I was working in the traffic engineering field, and I would go out and investigate extremely complicated crashes, and you would deploy some of the same tools as like a police investigator. You would gather up all of the information that you could, and you treat them like pieces of a puzzle, and then you try to put all these pieces together to figure out the mystery, try to figure out what happened, right?
Right, try to put it all together.
Right. So, I was like, okay, but one of the things that I used during that process was a camera, of course. You wanted to, that's the best way to document things. And, I was used to doing video. I was like, and I just carried that same mentality over to hunting Bigfoot, essentially. And, being a little bit cocky, I was like, well, if there's anything to this, I'll find it, right?
Did you start out with one of those Super 8 things, type of film recorders, kind of like what Spielberg did?
No, we actually started out with, it was a Panasonic camera, a Lumix FZ 1000. Yeah, it takes fantastic pictures.
Yeah.
Of course, now I didn't know anything about film, and when I was, doing all of this and talking with some of my mentors, I was like, well, while I'm doing this, I'll just go ahead and make a documentary, right? Well, how hard can it be? I'm an engineer, right? How hard can it be? And how hard can it be? Let me tell you something.
Like the B-roll and all that kind of stuff, right? Trying to splice it all together.
There's a lot to making a documentary.
Yeah.
Tell you, there's a lot to making a film. There's definitely a science behind it and an art behind it. So you have to mix art and science.
What do you find the most challenging about it?
About filming, or
just making the documentary in general? Like, do you find the post-production editing the worst, or
no,
the most difficult, or getting the evidence?
The hardest part is telling the story.
Telling the story.
What's your story?
The storyboard. Yeah, what you're going to put on the storyboard.
Like when you do a documentary, you don't necessarily have a predetermined outcome, right?
True.
You don't really know what the story is until you gather all your evidence.
Interview everybody.
Shoot all your footage, and then by the grace of everything that's good, you're like, oh my gosh, you've happened to document a sequence of events that actually tells a very good story. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do that for my past 3 films. And I'm getting quite good at it now. But I'm telling you, when I first started, I had no clue what I was doing. None. Zero. But that's all the fun of it, though, right? Learning how to do all that stuff. Well, yeah, sometimes. Sometimes.
Sort of, kind of, right?
But, I was, I guess, swift enough to be able to surround myself by other people who knew more than I did. So I reached out to our local university and picked up Brent Magoo, who was had just graduated film school, and he was an editor at one of the local TV stations. And we set off on our adventures, and literally, when I first started out, I was just like any other person who's just starting to be inquisitive about Bigfoot. I thought it was just like a wood monkey, a wood ape, what have you. And I was like, okay, this thing can't be very smart. We're going to, I'm going to find out what it is. And it took literally 45 minutes out in the, after we had gotten into the woods, we started finding like tracks, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, how easy can this get? And it was, they came down this little berm and went down to this little pond, this very small pond that was in the forest, went around the pond, then back up and out into the forest. They were like 16 and a half inches long, 7 inches wide, 5.5 feet in between. And I was like, man, this is, nothing to this. Going to solve it real quick. And, I did a little bit right there by the pond. And then about a quarter mile away, sure enough, we found another set of tracks. And they were essentially identical to the ones that we had just found. So, we thought, it's probably the same one. But, instead of 5.5 feet apart, this time they were 8.5 to 9 feet apart. And then got into the middle of the field. And then just abruptly stopped. And there was no real reason as to, why they had stopped. And we had found other evidence like at the edge of that.
Did they stop and just go nowhere?
Yeah, they came out from this. We found this little trail that was a game trail, and we were kind of like making some fun by the game trail. We found this, what I classified it at the time as a giant bird's nest up on its side, right?
Wow.
Imagine a bird's nest and you kind of put it up on the side. It looked exactly like that.
Interesting.
And I was like, just playing all around it, and I was like, hey, Brett, can you see me? You couldn't see, right? It was, you could get up in there, and it was right beside the game trail.
Well, I've got this orb up here next to the foot, because a lot of people say in congruency at the same time or near around about it, some people say that with Bigfoot, they see an orb. So in your mind, have you ever thought about that being some sort of a portal where they come out of?
Oh, we see orbs all the time. All the time. As a matter of fact,
in the Bigfoot world, there's the woo and the biological. Did you want to explain that too? Because a lot of people don't know what that means.
Okay, right? In the Bigfoot world, there's sort of like two camps, right? There's one camp who thinks it's nothing but an ape, and there's another camp that thinks that, well, it's an interdimensional being. I first started off in the ape camp. And I started running across evidence that, like the footprint stopping in the middle of the field. And one of the very first oddity that we started seeing, I started seeing when we were out investigating, were orbs, these little glowy things that just kind of move through the woods, right?
Okay.
I thought I was seeing things. I was like, at first, I tell you what, the first time I saw one, I thought it was somebody out in the woods with a flashlight. So we're like, hey, we're over here too. We're out here. Don't shoot us or anything, but we're armed too, right? So we're trying to communicate with whoever it is, but out there in the middle of the woods.
Right, it could be anybody.
With a flashlight, right? Could be anybody. And strangely enough, there was no response. And that kind of got our curiosity piqued, and we're like, hey, we're here, hello. And it's like it got its attention, and it came toward us, right?
Okay. And
it settles in about 30 feet, and I'm able to see it. My buddy Brent is not able to see it. Our other teammate at the time, Janice Nolan, she was able to see it, but Brent never could see it, right?
Is this Paranormal Portal, Brent?
No.
Okay.
It's, Brent, it was my first editor. He's in Savannah now.
Oh, okay.
Doing his editing thing for a new TV station. So
gotcha.
But
so it started coming towards you. Did you get freaked out when it started coming at you?
No. I was never really freaked. It was an amazement. right? I've never, ever felt threatened by these orbs at all. I was surprised twice because they were like buzzed me, like they came like, almost like a bat or something, right? But they came real close, and and it's those times where you're like turning around and woof, there it is, right? So I've been startled by them, but never really scared by them.
And they were small, right? Or
yeah, about the size of your fist. I would estimate.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's only tiny ones that usually hover around it. Do you think they have their own? You know how when you film, do you use a lot of drones and stuff like that? Do you think that maybe that's what that is? That he uses? Maybe he's got some kind of technology like a drone that he uses?
Yeah. Well, we've surmised that, is it are these orbs like some sort of drone? We've thought about that. I've actually kind of discounted that because like during my first film, we were not having a whole lot of luck with getting anything on IR, right?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's rent us a real high-end camera that has that doesn't emit infrared. Let's go capture one of these orbs, and at least we'll have something odd on camera, right? Because we saw these orbs quite often. And sure enough, we go there and we see one of these orbs, and, we have a good night. Storm coming in, and we're wrapping up filming, and, we get out of there. A couple of weeks later, editor calls back, says, hey, we got something. Little did we know that we had caught this thing crawling between us and the orb. And It was like surprised, right?
Okay.
And it didn't know where to go. It's like, like trying to go back and forth. It's like
deer in the headlights, like you got me.
Right. It's like, oh crap, an oh crap moment.
So do you think they're kind of like the predator? Because we can't see them in our visual. Obviously, you need to use some other type of technology to see them, right?
I don't know how to answer that because we didn't see it while we were there. The camera did. The camera tries to focus in on it. The camera sees this thing crawling, and you can see its arms and back end, and you can see everything. And the camera's trying to focus in on it, and it really, really appears like it's panicking. And at the same time, the orb that we're actually trying to film in the background starts going berserk, just getting bright. I mean, extra bright, just undulating and just doing all
kind of like an octopus when it's freaking out trying to hide from a predator. Like, oh no, I'm going to turn this color. Oh, I'm on this rock. Oh, I got to turn that color.
Yeah, and the camera quits, gives up focus on the crawler, and then focuses in on the orb. And then, the crawler gets all blurry, and then it takes off screen. And we started seeing that there's a huge connection between these orbs and Bigfoot activity, and most of it's the anecdotal, with stuff getting thrown at you. Sometimes disembodied voices, what we would call disembodied voices, like grunts, growls, sometimes the occasional, hey, so sometimes simple words.
What's your theory on that being kind of elemental or like a Wendigo or something?
Well, I've got a theory on it. I've seen portals, and I've interviewed people who have accidentally walked into portals, and it was very unhealthy for them.
Okay.
There was 4 people walked into what they classified as a portal. 2 of them are still alive, and both of those have health problems.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So, and I've seen a portal with my own eyes as well, and I've seen right after it had dissipated, an orb came up to our location from where we were watching these orbs and stuff from. Anyway, it came up to our location from the exact spot where that a portal was.
Okay.
So this is my theory on Bigfoot now. I think that they're not from here. They're some sort of interdimensional being. And they traverse, I don't know, it's dimensions, realities, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, through portals. And the only safe way you can do it is in energy form. So I think that they have an ability to change from a physical form into an energy form. And that's how they traverse through these portals and go from one place to another.
Well, it totally makes sense. I mean, look at Beyond Skinwalker Ranch and all the weird stuff that's going on over there.
Mm-hmm. And we've been getting some of the exact same radiation readings when we investigate as well. And, when we have partners that have Geiger counters.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah, have you tried that? And you did get some increased sensation of that. Now, when you did you want to get into this one, The Vanished?
Yeah, the Vanished, it's a little bit of a different movie than my first two. The first was Legend of the Downy Booger. The second one was The Land Between the Lakes. And both of those really were more cryptid oriented. And this one is a little bit different. It kind of focuses in on missing people in the national forests. And we picked two cases that were extremely strange, but had similar circumstances. Dennis Martin from 1969. He was, I think, 7 years old when he went missing. And Mike Heron, who was in his 50s in 2008, when he went missing. And there was massive searches for both of them. And there was not a single trace of evidence of anything from them ever again.
Okay. Did anybody ever think about, like, it could have been an animal who had eaten them or something like that?
Well, we could, but, and we even addressed that. And like Adam Davis puts it, there's no polite way to put it. If an animal consumes somebody, that usually there's some sort of debris left over.
Right, true.
And
bones or something.
Yeah, there's usually something. 99.999% of the time.
Clothing, whatever they were carrying.
Mm-hmm. So, in these two instances, there was nothing. Mike Heron, who was in his 50s, he wasn't robbed. They found his belongings. They found his ATV that was parked in an unusual place, and the kill switch was on. For those that don't know what the kill switch is, it's a switch that automatically turns the ATV off, just boom, real quick, much like a kill switch on a boat.
So something really close had to pull that kill switch thing off of them.
Well, yeah. If he was, we thought maybe, was he chasing something? Did he see something and start chasing it? And did that, whatever he was chasing, not like that it was being chased and get him?
Maybe.
And, kind of snatched him off of his ATV, and that sort of explained why the kill switch was on.
And how deep in the woods were they? Because, when you go deep into woods with an ATV, I mean, you're disturbing a lot of wildlife and whatever else lives in there.
Where he lived in his area, where his farm was out in the middle of the woods, but it was very near a roadway.
Okay.
Dennis Martin, however, was miles and miles, like 13 miles from the nearest roadway.
And that's the older gentleman in his 50s?
No, that's the young kid.
7 years old? Out by himself?
He was 7 years old. He was off camping. Well, they were off camping with his family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the way the story goes with that is that, there were several families there, and the kids were playing, and some of those kids wanted to sort of sneak up and scare the adults. Well, 3 kids went one way and Dennis Martin went another way. And Dennis Martin's dad saw him when he had left and kind of went behind some brush. He knew what he was doing, and he wasn't too concerned about it because he saw what he was doing, saw where he was at. And after a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, he went to go check on him, and he wasn't there. And then he started to go look for him. Walked for like a mile and a half and didn't see him down that trail, and then came back. He did, and Dennis Martin didn't come back to camp, and then went down another trail for another 2.5 miles, and didn't find him. And that's when they alerted authorities. And then at the end of the day, that day, which was on Father's Day in June, in the Smoky Mountains, there was this deluge. It was like 2.5 inches of rain. That is a ton of rain.
Yes.
So, is it possible that he got swept up in a swollen creek somewhere? I mean, that's possible. But the U.S. Navy was also involved in the search for Dennis Martin. They didn't find anything.
They've got good trackers.
Well, they do. I mean, it was not only the U.S. Navy.
Only problem is, so after the rain, you lose so much that you can track, right?
Right. They had people that would come up and volunteer that had tracking dogs.
I was just going to ask, did they had bring out the dogs? Yeah.
Yeah, and none of the tracking dogs were successful.
Aww.
So yeah, the rain probably had a lot to do with the scent being gone away. However, this is also another reasoning for his scent not appearing very strong, is that if something picked him up and took him off.
Okay, yeah.
So that could be another reason for why the dogs didn't pick up any scent, is because he was up like on somebody's shoulder. And there was a witness who said that they said they had saw somebody or something who appeared to be wearing bear skins or something like that, with something that looked like it had somebody with a red shirt over their shoulder. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was going to ask you, I wonder, is there any like weirdos out in the woods or something?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I did find out, I talked with a forest ranger, and of course they can't say this on air, but he showed me on a map where you could find feral people.
Really?
Yeah. He said he has seen them, and there's more than you think that there are. They're not all over the place, but there's more than you think.
Scary stuff, right? Like, don't go in. How it says, don't go in the woods by yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know that when we do paranormal investigations, all the freaking time it tells us, don't go in the woods. I'm attached to the woods. These grounds are haunted. These grounds are cursed. Don't go in the woods. It's like, okay, I'm not going in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder.
There's good reason as to why you should be very cautious when you're going out into the woods.
Especially by yourself, because something could easily take you and grab you. Especially that small at 7 years old.
But you really think about it. I mean, they were camping, and the father saw him go behind the brush.
Yep.
Right, or the tree or whatever.
To grab you, right?
Yeah. And it was never heard from again. And that is a very, very sad story.
It is, especially around Father's Day. It makes you really wonder what happened to that poor kid.
And I won't give a whole lot away, but I used some unconventional methods in our investigation. I went and got 2 remote viewers, and interestingly enough, both remote viewers came up with very similar results. And they didn't even know about each other. They didn't know each other, and definitely didn't know that they were remote viewing.
I got to give a shout out to Third Eye Live, since you're talking about remote viewers, and Bryan Bowden again, and Mark. But remote viewing is no joke. I mean, people know how to do it. Some people don't believe in it, but they're out there. MK Ultra. I mean, there was a government experiment that does work.
Yeah, I was just looking at some papers on that today.
Mm-hmm.
Or not really MK Ultra, but the remote viewing aspect,
Right.
and why they had to shut it down. They didn't shut it down because it didn't work, and they shut it down because it was working.
Because it did work. That's right.
Yeah,
Like,
they shut it down because it did work,
mm-hmm.
and these people were so talented that were doing it. They were actually seeing things that were like in safes and buildings far away. I mean, they were getting very good descriptions of things, right?
Right.
And it became a security risk for the United States because the CIA was putting this on, and they didn't let the people know that it really was a CIA operation. And the CIA was like, hold on, these people this actually works. They can see things.
Well, it's like the CE5 when they pull them in, right? All they got to do is think about them and get in the right frequency and vibration, and
right.
They're there. They're right there. And astral projection and this remote viewing, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually very real. And there's a complicated science behind it, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to explain it. Because I only halfway really understand it, but it's got to do with like particles, and each particle has a twin essentially, but it's the opposite twin, yes. And they're not always like right next to each other. I mean, like part of my particles are part of you, right? So
quantum physics.
Quantum physics. I personally think it's got something to do with that.
Oh, 100%. You had talked about energy before in the portal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all quantum stuff. And we're just now unlocking it because I'm pretty sure we knew how to use it a long time ago, but we just forgot how.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I really do think there's a sect of people out there that doesn't want us to be able to use our abilities as best we can, because certain sects want power and control over people.
Yeah,
right?
There's all kinds of conspiracy theories on the go about that, with like fluoride is they're putting stuff in the water and this and that. But I guess you're going to be afraid what you say on YouTube or Facebook, because there's so many people getting
Mm-hmm.
taken down, and just for like weird stuff that they might mention, right? And who is in charge of deciding all that? Is it just AI or what?
Well, I think when people get too close to the truth, it hurts, and they get attention to themselves, and somebody says to these social media platforms, hey, you have to take this person down.
I think you're 100% right. I've seen it happen a lot of times. And most of it is conspiracy people who I think hit the nail on the donkey, and they get taken down. Exactly. And they not only get taken down, but they get threatened, and they get very scared, and they just go away and stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to it, 100%. I mean, I've said some things on my show, and they just went, boop, cut it. I was like, damn it. So then you had to like go back on and then the guest is kind of laughing, saying, yeah, it happens to me all the time. Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So certain people, I guess different topics we get into, you gotta be careful nowadays. That might take you away.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Vanished ends up being a really different film than what I had done before. It was a pleasure learning how to investigate missing peoples, and bring in some different tools to that as well. I mean,
well, I wanted to say congratulations on your conference that you recently did. I mean, you had a great turnout. Lots of people were there. I wish I could have went, but all this snow on the go. We're pre-recording, by the way. But I mean, you've had so many different films. You've only mentioned a couple. There's a bunch of other ones you've done too. And you're a podcaster. Did you want to talk about that too?
Oh, absolutely. We have this little show that we're developing. It's called Beyond the Ordinary. and we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, if it's beyond the ordinary, we'll talk about it. And it's a pre-recorded show where we'll take guests and we'll harass them as best we can and try to poke and prod them and get all sorts of
I hope I'm not poking and prodding you too much.
Well, you know, I use that as a term of endearment for a guest, because you know, we do ask some questions, but really we're trying to let the people get to know the person that we're interviewing, not just necessarily their stories, but the person as well.
You know what I like to do, Greg? I always look behind the person at all the stuff behind them. Tell me about some of the stuff behind you.
Oh, behind me?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
you got any show and tell?
Yeah. Here's a little handy dandy microphone that I sometimes use for voiceovers.
Okay.
And this is my computer that I do. This is the desktop that I do some of my editing on. And over here is my monitor that I do.
That's where all the magic happens, right?
Yeah, that's where a lot of that magic.
Yeah.
And this is just my office and in my home, and I share this office with my wife. She, you know, she comes in sometimes and, you know, works at the other desk behind me. It's too tall for me. I don't know how in the world she's
you might hear my cat running around the house playing with some stuff in the background. If you're wondering what is that noise, it's a crazy cat.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know how all cats can be. They can be crazy.
Yes. Tell us more about some of your podcast guests who you had on.
Well, recently we had Jared McGillard.
Okay.
Who is the producer of the History Channel hit show Monster Quest.
I love Monster Quest.
Yeah.
And, you know, every day, I swear to God, myself and my husband go, and is there a new episode on yet? Dang, there's no new episode. We love it. Does that show inspire you, Greg, to do some of your stuff?
Well, no, the inspiration came from Natalie Smearman. She had
Natalie's awesome. I gotta have Natalie on the show.
Yeah. She has a conflict tonight. She's always on another podcast on Thursdays.
Oh.
But you know, you had mentioned Bryan Bowden. He was actually at my conference last week.
Yeah, he was one of the guest speakers. And Natalie was also, I'm going to throw Natalie up on here. Shout out and kudos to Natalie. She was a speaker. And let me go through some of the stuff here. We've got Melissa.
Melissa Adair.
Yeah. Is she part of your team also, correct?
She is. She is very, very good at marketing, and because she does that for a living. And she's also into Bigfooting. Well, she's known as the Bigfoot chick.
Bigfoot chick, yeah.
Yeah. And she attended an outing or an expedition that we had at the Land Between the Lakes back in November. And I was doing some filming there, and she had such a great time. And, you know, everybody just clicked, and, you know, we brought her into the team, and she's a very valuable member of our team. And, you know, she'll be with us going forward. And Adam Davis is another part of my team. You know, of course, Adam Davis has been on Monster Quest to speak of other ones, but Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates. And
I love Josh too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's been all over the world and
everywhere.
Yeah, he's been everywhere. Been on a ton of shows. So there's Adam right there. But you know, he's a fabulous fellow, and I'm lucky to have him. Really, all three of them, and on my team, they're just fabulous people. Everyone brings their own skills into the team, and it really shows. We have really just skyrocketed since the development of this team. Absolutely.
And it looks like you had a great time over at the Paracon. It looks like you got saying happy birthday again.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Well, it all starts with Bryan Bowden.
Oh, Bryan. Okay. All right. Let me get a picture of Bryan up there.
We were in Missouri, and we had went to this restaurant.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was...
you got serenaded.
There was a singer that was there, right?
Right.
But it was her husband's birthday.
Oh,
and they had some little birthday cakes and all that. So, you know, when they were done singing, you know, we were seated right next to them. They had brought some of their little cupcakes over there to us. And Bryan had suggested, and I don't know where he got it from, that it was my birthday too. So she brought all these little cakes over there, and, you know, we had a little birthday. And every time I see Bryan Bowden, it's my birthday now.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were at the Mexican restaurant before the Paracon.
You're right.
You know, I'm sitting there talking with Jessica Jones right across the table from me, and all of a sudden, here comes a big old hand of whipped cream just bloos right over.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, why does he have? I thought it was shaving cream. Somebody put shaving cream all over your beard, but it was Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, it wasn't her. It was the restaurant people. The restaurant.
Oh, the restaurant did it? Oh,
yeah, they brought this big sombrero out for me to wear, and you know they just kept putting like whipped cream on my face, and you know Bryan Bowden put him up to it. I'm sure he did.
Probably.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Because he was sitting there waiting on it, it was like, trying to film it. He was waiting on it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Saying, I love it. A hat. So I wore a sombrero for a while.
So it was a good time had by all, indeed. Mm-hmm. So for the folks listening, do you want to give a shout out on where people can find you and wish you a happy birthday?
Again, I think I had like 7 birthdays last year.
I had to say that.
But you can find me on Facebook. I misspelled my name right there. It's not Ogles. It's Ogles, Ogles. But you can find me on Facebook, and you can find us Relic Films Media on YouTube. We do post some things right there for all to see, and you can find some interesting stuff. And now that I'm not editing anymore for The Vanished, I'll put a whole lot more behind the scenes stuff on YouTube and, just comical stuff. For those who don't know me, I'm not always very serious. I'm a bit of a joker.
Well, you gotta be a joker to have fun, right?
Well, of course. I mean, my actual motto for a company is, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
That's right. Yeah. You gotta have fun. 100%.
Yep. So if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And, we always have fun. These Paracon, every time I go out, we have fun. Every time we film, we have a blast. It's like nonstop laughter, except when we're filming. Then it's very dead serious, right? Very serious.
Gritty, down to business. Yeah, because time is money, right?
Absolutely. You can ask the ex-Marine that was asked at the Land Between the Lakes with us.
Well, there's only so many hours in a day, and you got to get that sweet spot, right? Or it could rain or snow or wind or something, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Because, when you're filming some of the stuff, you've got to, I'm like the king of one takes, the one take king, right?
Oh,
I try to get things in one take. Yeah, I'm not like other filmmakers where they'll do 5,000 takes.
Oh, Lord.
By the end of the day, your subject is too tired to actually go off and do any type of investigation.
And then you got too much to choose from in editing. You're like, which one do I use? I don't remember.
Right. Well, I do like to have, a good shot, good footage, but I do try to keep things real. And,
Yes.
Sometimes our films aren't quite as polished as, something that you would like see on Netflix or something
But I
like that.
like the nitty-gritty stuff that's not totally polished, because it's authentic. And it's not
That's what,
AI. It's real.
that's what we're trying to go for. We go
Yeah.
for more authentic stuff.
Yes.
And everything that you see is real, except for recreations. Recreations are not real. Don't have time machines, not yet. But we do try to recreate people's encounters so that it's more of a tool for the viewer, so that they can better visualize what happened, right? So, and I
Picture
even
says
tried to do that.
1,000 words, right, Greg?
Right.
Yeah.
I even tried to do that on Beyond the Ordinary. So that's kind of what differentiates our talk show or from other podcasts is sometimes I'll put sound effects in there, and I do, and it's called B-roll when you do like recreations or whatever, when people are talking and you try to make a visual concept of what people are auditorily saying, right?
Yes. So if you get to a suspenseful part, you can add in the heartbeat when something scary is happening, or
exactly.
things like that, right?
Exactly. So I think that's kind of what sets our show apart. Is I do put a little bit of that movie magic in them.
Nice.
So, but
There you go.
Our second film was fabulous. The first film didn't know what we were doing. It's still really, really good. And it's even up on Tubi and Roku channel and all that good stuff.
I was just going to mention to folks, you can go watch a lot of your stuff for free on Tubi. Go check it out. Follow Greg. You're going to love him and all of his work and films and his podcast.
Yeah, we are taking off like a rocket, and we are trying to deliver lots of content and, a variety of content. I don't really want to be pigeonholed as the Bigfooter, right? Although I do go out, and we do have really good success when we go out cryptid hunting. And it's not always Bigfoot. Sometimes it's something else. But we do have a fair bit of success, and it's not really me that's having that success. What we do try to do is we vet a lot of our witnesses, and we ask if we can go there. And they take us to these locations. And we just happen to be at locations where this activity is genuinely going on. So, we do sift through a bunch of people that, come to us with stories and things like that.
So I'm sure you've done a lot of different investigations. I mean, that's real boots on the ground work right there.
Oh, exactly. That's exactly what we call it, is boots on the ground.
Yeah.
The next film that I have coming out after The Vanished is Return to the Land Between the Lakes, Making Contact.
Oh, nice. That should be good.
That film is going to blow things away. There was just... Are
you finished in that? Are you in post-production now, or?
I am very close to post-production. I may have some pickup shots, interview shots about, like reactionary things to things that occurred at the Land Between the Lakes. But for the most part, primary filming is done.
Okay. So when can everybody expect that to come out?
Whew. I hadn't even started on it, and it's going to be probably 2 hours or more.
Oh, nice. Okay. Any little teaser?
Well, I do have a teaser out that you can find that on YouTube, on our channel. It's Return to the LBL teaser, and you had mentioned something earlier, about
and Return to LB Land Between the Lakes is why that was abbreviation for. Sorry. Yeah.
The Land Between the Lakes, LBL. Yeah. And for those who don't know where it is, the Land Between the Lakes is bisected by the northern border of Tennessee and Kentucky. So
okay, good. Thanks for letting us know about that, because there's a lot of folks who will be wondering where exactly is that now.
Yeah. If you're like looking at a map, the top of Tennessee is like straight, flat as a critter, and all of a sudden it goes bloop bloop bloop. It has a little upcropping right there. Actually, right there is where the Land Between the Lakes is. That little bloop 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 that goes up, from the map. So if you're looking at a map and you see that little bloop bloop bloop, you know where it is. That's Land Between the Lakes.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And good luck with it. And I can't wait to see it. And everybody, make sure you get out there and follow Greg Ogles, OGLES.
I was seeing if you're paying attention. That's right. You got anything with old eyes or anything?
So we're going to peace out with a little bit of BOG Team music. I think I'll throw some, how about some 80s BOG Team music out there? And everybody, you're listening in on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. Make sure you get out there and follow Mr. Greg Ogles from Relic Films and Beyond the Ordinary podcast. Thanks again, Greg, for being on UPRN and PNL Podcast. We're real happy to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.